Hello, hello, hello. How are you all? Let's see. I am making sure I took my headphone out, but this is a bad thing. If you have a wireless headphone, do not take them out and stick them in some random place that you will think that you're going to remember where it is, but you will not, which is always the scary thing. Hi, Simon. So now where can I put this where I will not forget it? I'm going to stick it right in front of me. Which means when I am going crazy and saying, where did I stick that? I'm going to put a message up and I'm going to say, where did I stick it? And you're going to say, right on your keyboard. Sorry that I am late. I just got done making a giant batch of hot cocoa, which I am testing right now. Here, I'll see if I can show a picture, because I just took a picture of how big of a mess my kitchen table is, but I don't know if it will show up. Sometimes these things will show up, sometimes they will not. Oh, not really. It was a mess, but look how much I made. My aunt has a recipe. I grew up, before they had Swiss Miss, because they didn't used to have, well, that I'm aware of. When I was little, I don't know if they had Swiss Miss. If they did have Swiss Miss, like cocoa in a container, we didn't buy it, or I didn't know about it. So my aunt had a recipe that she always made up of hot cocoa, and it would make this huge, like, you remember those chip canisters, or like a big popcorn tin? Like, it would fit in that big popcorn tin, and we would eat, we would drink out of it all year long. So I ended up putting in, I got 3 8-cup containers and 3 3-cup containers and another part of a 3-cup container. I'm testing it out right now to see if it tastes the way that I remember it making, because I'm going to use it for some gifts. My niece has 2 little children, and I thought I got them a snowman making kit. So it's like a box that has a scarf and a hat and like nose and 2 eyes made out of coal, because Frosty is a snowman. And so it's a whole kit to make a snowman, and I'm going to give her that with a container of cocoa. And the same thing for one of my sisters who has little tiny kids too. So I thought that would be a fun little family gift, right? I'm all about the make your gifts kind of thing. It's still hot. I can't taste it to tell you how delicious it has in it. You want to hear the recipe? Here's the recipe. I had to track it down from my mother, but it has a lot. It's not cheap. I will say it costs about $35 to make, but you get a huge tin of it. 14-quart box of powdered milk, a 2-pound box of Nestle Quick, a pound of powdered sugar, a cup of white sugar, a cup of cocoa powder, and a 16-ounce jar of coffee creamer, plus mini marshmallows, but I don't like mini marshmallows, so I don't put them in there. What did Simon say? Hello, Miss Veronica. Getting ready for date night. Oh, nice, 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 Miss Veronica. Have a good date night. Oh, Swiss Miss. I thought you were saying like Christmas Swiss Miss. I'm sorry. Yes, Swiss Miss is a brand of cocoa. And somebody says, Miss Nina says she remembers Swiss Miss from the 70s. We had a lot of kids in our family. I had 7 in my family. My aunts and stuff all had big families. And so we didn't tend to buy those kinds of pre-made things, although, I mean, all the stuff that's in there, it's not like it's healthier. But they would just mix it up in a huge tin, and we'd all scoop from it all winter long. Anyways, I feel like I breathed in like power. I should have wore a mask, because I feel like I breathed in sugar, cocoa powder, dry milk. Okay, people need to now confess who Who grew up on dried milk? Like, not, is it just called dried milk? Yeah, dried milk. Did your parents make their milk with dried milk? I did. My parents, there was at least a period of time. Money was definitely a bit tight in the household. And I definitely remember when I was younger, my mom making up milk with dried milk. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. Hello, Bohemian Spirit. I don't even know if younger people today even know there is such a thing as dried milk. I feel like it was still in the grocery store. There wasn't a lot of choices of getting it, and it was just a really tiny section. But I wonder if younger people even have any clue that people used to use dried milk. My guess is probably not. I don't think my kids would know about it, other than that they might have seen me, or powdered milk. That's like dried milk. Does that sound right? My kids probably saw me make this every once in a while. Oh, it's called Marvel here. Yeah, it's not not something good. Nita says we had powdered milk, powdered eggs. Ooh. My father was in the military and loved this kind of thing. And then she has a throw up emoji. So I'm pretty sure that's Nina saying she did not love it so much. I'm not too much on drinking milk either. Like drinking a bunch of milk. I don't drink glasses of milk. And I certainly wouldn't want to drink powdered milk, reconstituted powdered milk. Although that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm waiting for this to be hot enough. I have to say, though, that it would be nice to have it as a backup, because there have been powdered eggs. I'm reading Lady Night. There have been times in which I just, went to go make a recipe or something and I didn't have any milk, because to be honest, I don't use a lot of milk except for in recipes and stuff. And so it could be nice I had a little bit left over from the mix, because I had to get I had to get a 20 quart bag is all they had. And I needed 14 quarts. So I have a little bit of it. So I'd probably save it just in case, I just don't have milk for a recipe or something, then I might use it. For soap making, Raven Song. That's well, I guess people take milk baths. So I guess that makes sense. That is interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that. Miss Veronica said she gagged at every drink and pissed her dad off. Now, I will say some people made it better than others. My grandmother, rest her soul, did not make very good powdered milk. My mother, she actually didn't do too bad. She really whisked it well and got it really cold. So it wasn't as bad, but it's not the same thing. Not the same thing as regular milk. That makes sense. Chris says it is good for hiking and camping, because then you just have to add water to it. So that makes sense. Hello, Miss Kaleidoscope. We're talking about powdered milk and whether the youth of America or the UK or anywhere else even knows about powdered milk anymore. Nina says, I don't know how they make powdered eggs. She probably doesn't want to know, but you reconstitute them with water and fry them like scrambled eggs. I cannot imagine that's delicious. I just cannot imagine that that's good. I've never had powdered eggs. I thought, well, let me stop and think. Never is a big word, but I'm pretty sure I've never had powdered eggs. We are, Nina. We are. My brain feels a little bit tired. It's been a very long week. I still have I have work to do tonight and tomorrow to get caught up on year ahead spread readings. I want people to have them all before the summer solstice, the winter solstice comes. And so to be honest, I was like, oh, I can't even, I had amazing last class this morning, but it was a long class. I did a literature class and a writing class. So we did some tarot spreads, but we also read through a couple books and things like that. And then we ended it with people writing their own stories. And it was the greatest treat of all times to listen to everybody read out their stories. And it was absolutely probably the highlight of my teaching year, which is great to go out. It's the last class of the year. So it was great to go out on that sort of like, oh my gosh, like this is what I've always wanted to do. It all rolled up to divination, literature, writing, some painting, a little magic making. It was like amazing, but it was a long one this morning. So I'm just feeling, I was like, I can't even think of a topic. And I'm not sure if I can stay on a topic. So we are just going to ramble, because every once in a while it's okay to say that your brains don't work too great. So we're going to ramble. We can pick a topic to ramble about, but I say know thyself, right? Know thyself when you just need to ramble. If you do half regular milk and half powdered, you can stretch your milk and it's not as bad. That makes sense, Alderman Morgan. I am guessing that probably happened quite a bit. We pretty much just use it straight. I do not remember liking it. Powdered milk is better to use in recipes than to make actual milk. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like it would be perfectly fine in recipes where you're not tasting as much. I know we're talking about powdered milk, Adam, because I made up hot cocoa, my aunt's hot cocoa mix, and it involves a copious amount of powdered milk. And so that's what made me think about it. That's why we're talking about it. It wasn't too random. I did have a reason for it. I saw Miss Kaleidoscope said, yes, they have powdered milk, but it's not, yeah. I think we pretty much covered the fact that nobody's coming forward and saying, I loved powdered milk and I use it every day. It is an odd topic. We like odd topics. It's too hot. I'm going to burn myself. I'm going to put that aside and get some Coke. What new decks have folks bought recently? I just bought the herb. I love the Herb Crafters, Nina. It's in my favorites box. This is a box of all my favorite decks. These are also a box of my favorite decks, but they're decks that I use all the time for client readings and things, so I kind of keep them separate. But the Herb Crafters is absolutely amazing. Oh no, Morgan's gonna pull it out. There's nothing better than powdered milk. Oh, so Bohemian Spirits, never heard of it. I'm guessing you're younger. I'm guessing that you're at least younger than me, maybe. New decks. The new decks that I purchased recently were in the Hay House sale. So the Hay House around Black Friday has like their $8 deck sale. I think they had the Lightseers Tarot for the mass market for $15, and then they had a bunch of other $8 decks and then free shipping. And so I bought the Lightseer Tarot because I want to give that to my daughter, and I wanted to compare it to the original. And then I'm sorry, I'm looking at the decks right here. And then I got the, here, I can just grab them. Including powdered milk. What is Adam? Adam's talking about something being gross. Yeah. He just doesn't like milk in general. I don't know if it's worth it, but it was $15 and I wanted it for my daughter. So it was worth it to me. So I got, a lot of people had told me to get this deck. I thought it was something else, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a different deck. that I had already had and didn't really like. So I kind of was like, oh yeah, that's nice. But I never got it. And then I think last week, I didn't have one last week. So the week before, Captain Nolan, I think, had reminded, he's like, you've got to, because I've been loving her, that's way over there. So I don't, oh no, right here. Sacred Destiny cards. I've absolutely loved this deck. I've already done a walkthrough of it and I accidentally deleted it. So I'm having a hard time getting motivated to redo it. It's hard, you know, I do have very long walkthroughs. And so when I delete them, it's kind of hard to get like, oh, all right, I'm going to do this all over again. But anyways, I've been loving this so much. And so he's like, you need to get the Sacred Traveler Oracle if you really like her work. And so I picked this up. And then I also picked up the Native Spirit by her as well. So those are the 3 decks that I got at the Hay House sale. I haven't looked, to be honest, at my lights here to see if it's one that's messed up. I guess some people have gotten messed up decks. So let's take a look and see. Box looks good. I did take the paper off to see if it messed up. You know, I don't like Hay House papers. They wrap a paper around the deck, and I don't like it because you wouldn't think a paper could mess it up, but they actually can make a dent on it. So mine is looks fine. Like I don't have different backing. Some people I've seen had like different kinds of like it would be matte on some and satin on the other. These are, I would say, satin. They're not, it's not matte, but it's not super high gloss. So I mean, to me it looks fine. It's kind of cardboardy stock, like it's not anything fantastic. I know there's been a lot of controversy about the quality of the deck. I do wish they would have used the same stock that they had. I guess I don't understand entirely why. If you can make this really beautiful cardstock, you know, I know that they can make this because I have several decks that they've made with this beautiful matte cardstock that's held up really well for me. I've used this deck so much and it's held up really well. So this was $18.99 with this beautiful cardstock. Now this of course has more cards in it, but you know, this was $25 for not the best, not as good a cardstock. So I guess I just don't understand why they wouldn't just use really good cardstock, because we know they can do it. But it's not, doesn't look bad to me. My daughter, she won't mind one way or another. I would have paid extra for it too, Simon. Sorry, I am scrolling back because I'm sure. How many decks do I have, says Brian? I have no clue. I have just the right amount for right now and just enough for one more if I really need another one. That's my always gonna answer the same question the same. I really actually don't know, but my answer is that I have just as many as I need at the moment or want at the moment, and there's always room for another one. I also got shifted out some decks too. I'm so waiting for this to be not so hot. Brian. Hello, Miss Nikki. Exactly enough for now. Exactly. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes I do feel the urge to pass them on. This one's for my daughter. I have the mass market and or the indie version. I am going to do a quick comparison just to have it on my channel. I know that a lot of people have done already a comparison of the two, so I'm not going to belabor it, but I will say, let me just say one thing real quick. One of the joys of this deck, in my opinion, and I've loved this deck, I've used this a lot for clients. It's been a really great reader for me. I do really love it, and one of the joys of it is the vibrancy of color, and it seems to me that they've at least pulled off being pretty close. I mean, I don't expect it's going to be the same as an indie deck, right? That there's a lot. It costs a lot more to print the indie deck than it costs to do this one. So you can't have expectations that it's going to be exactly the same. However, the vibrancy, I feel like they really did a great job in capturing that vibrancy, and that to me is what's really important about this deck, because it would be sad to see this kind of deck being muted down in any way. I love this judgment card. Yeah, of course the indie's the best. I mean, you know, that makes sense, but I also paid a lot more for my indie deck than I paid for this. So, you know, that's gorgeous. So, I mean, I think expectations, right? There's no way that a Hay House deck is going to be the same quality as an indie deck that cost, you know, more than well, I guess double. I don't remember what I paid for the other one, I guess, but so yeah, I mean, I don't think we can have the expectations, but the fact that they did retain that degree of vibrancy, I think is fantastic. So my daughter will love it. Do I agree with the Amazon rating? What is the Amazon rating? I guess I haven't looked. I didn't buy mine on Amazon. Jennifer, I love that we can just feel that we have the right amount without knowing. Yeah, I tried to one time to catalog it, but I'm not very good at it, and a lot of stuff doesn't have UPC tags, so I gave up on it a long time ago. Just dropping by, Anne says to say thank you for the inspiration and help I received from watching your videos. Oh, sending you all warmest seasons greetings. Oh, thank you so much. And I don't know what's going on with Miss Nikki. I don't know, something she said about, I missed something, but Miss Nikki gave the 10 subtle scars. Yeah, I've kept the original 10 of swords. I'm sure I'm missing things. Miss Nikki, I don't know what's wrong. I hope there's nothing wrong with your dog. Please, no. I can't find it. So, hello, Miss Molly. Hello, Miss Molly. Oh no, it's Miss Nikki. I'm starting. Oh, okay. I mean, that sounds terrible. I am so sorry for your losing of your mother's dog and for your mother's loss, but we all follow Miss Nikki, all of us who follow Miss Nikki on Instagram, that would be especially horrible. So I am sorry to have looked relieved that it was your mother's dog. That's so terrible. But I was a little bit relieved because that would have been extra terrible. Oh, that is awful. I can't even hardly think about that. That stuff makes me nauseous. It really does. Goodbye, Adam. I'm glad that you got to make it for the powdered milk conversation. You know, every once in a while, we have to just go for crazy conversations. Oh, good, Miss Kaleidoscope. I'm glad you are stitching and enjoying the ramble. Miss Kaleidoscope's up for a good ramble. Oh my gosh, my hair looks wretched. Oh well. I've given up. I've got to chop something off here. I know that was listed. I've seen quite a few threads lately about stuff people don't like about walkthroughs, which I pretty much do all of the things people don't like, as well as about live chats. And one of them was about, you know, they can't say when people comment on their hair. But I have to say, you know, you kind of are forced to look at yourself. I mean, I guess you could cover it up, but you can't then see what like you're doing. And so you're kind of forced to sit there looking at yourself. So it's really hard not to be like, holy goodness, you look like you're in a windstorm. So I totally can understand why it would be annoying, but I also understand why people do it, including myself, is because we're sitting there uncomfortably having to look at ourselves. Oh my goodness. It really is, Molly. It's really hard. If I hadn't have run into last minute, I could have taken more time, but you know me, I still talk about it. Okay, I'm scrolling back here to see if we missed anything else. But we're just gonna have to roll with it and keep up. If I forget someone, if I missed something, then please feel free to say it again. I've already announced that I feel like reason why we're not having a specific topic is because I feel like my brain isn't going to handle a topic. So we're just rolling with a little bit. We will be back. Just to be clear, I love our topics and we will be back to our topics once we get through the holidays. But in the meantime, I'm just rolling with random conversation. Brian says, do you think that no meat diets or fasting is important to connect with spirit? You know, I really think that is something extremely personal. So could it play a role in doing so for somebody? Definitely so. Have I done fasting to connect with a source or whatever that may be to myself? Yes, I have. Have I been on no meat diets? Yes, for a very, very long time. Did I feel like it made me connect closer to spirit? Not necessarily for myself. Fasting, yes, I feel like that's a deliberate act. And for a lot of people, I think perhaps going meatless would help them depending on the way that they connect in their worldview and who and what they're trying to connect to, I suppose. So I think that's, I guess for myself, that would be something that would be, whether it's going to be helpful or not to do so would depend on each individual person. So yeah, so that's definitely an individual thing for me. Am I going to do the holiday sing-along? I do want to do a holiday sing-along, but I don't know when. I want to do it. I need to sit down and try to figure out the date, but I want to do it the week before Christmas at some point. So I will have to sit down and try to figure that out when that's going to be. You're very welcome, Brian. I do find, and I don't really mean to do it flippantly. It's hard with these types of chats to, kind of just give you the base amount. I do find fasting helpful. And again, I do think that non-meat diets could help somebody. I am a little bit more into the realm of what we eat in terms of meat eating versus plant eating. We're all part of the natural world and part of the animal world, and some animals eat plants, some animals eat animals, and I don't think it affects their connection to source as I see it. So being meatless would not be something that I would feel necessary to connect to source. But again, somebody else, depending on what they're going to connect to, may have to, may find that it helps them. Let's see. Hello there, Javon. Is it Javon or Yvonne? Is it the J a Y sound? Do you think the Mythical Creatures by Baba Studios is a good first? Is the Mythical Creatures a pip deck? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that. I guess I don't know that deck good enough. I know what deck you're talking about, but I guess I didn't realize that was a pip deck. I find that to be a very busy deck. I was really excited about it. I never ended up purchasing it because my friend purchased the black or the non-colored version of it, and I just felt like it was too busy for me. But it's beautiful. It just was a little bit too busy for me. So I'll have to take a closer look at it in terms of a first pip deck, because I didn't even realize it was a pip deck. So that might make me change my mind. Thank you very much. I might end up saying, oh my goodness, I do have to have it. I'm getting my first working altar together, but I'm worried about candles and incense with their ingredients affecting pets. You have to be careful about that. Tiffany, I cannot burn incense because it gives me migraines. I burn loose herbs. So I will take actual different herbs and things like that and burn them on a screened burner that was one of the best things ever given to me because it's amazing. I'm able to burn some things and do what I want that way, but it's not the incense. It's just the straight herbs. And then I'm always careful of checking, you know, because I have a dog, and so I always check and see what I shouldn't burn around her. And I also usually try to crack where I do that type of stuff is by a patio door, and so I do try to crack the door a little bit. So I would be careful. I mean, animals, they're sitting there breathing in whatever we're breathing in, and so I do think it's something to pay attention to for sure. Okay, scrolling. Claire wants the indie version of Light Sears. Okay. From color comparisons, I prefer the warmer tint mass bar. Yeah, I haven't compared them yet, silver scale. I'm going to do a quick comparison, and I have not done that yet. But at least I feel like the vibrancy is there. If you don't have them both to sit there and compare, I feel like you would be happy with both of the color things, both of the color pop nature of it, I guess would be my point. If the light sears chair is calling your name, I'd say jump on. Oh, somebody was asking about it. I guess I'm not. I'm missing things. I'm trying to scroll up. If you've asked me a direct question and I've missed it, please do not hesitate to repeat it in capital letters. Just when I'm answering, things continue to scroll, and so I miss things. So it's not because I'm ignoring you, unless you're being rude, which I can't believe. So if I've missed you, it is just because I've missed you. So please be welcome to repeat it. I dreamed last night that I went to this lady's house and she had a bunch of tarot decks, but they were all really thin. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if you had you read something about counterfeit decks? It's funny what our brains do. But yes, listen to Miss Nikki. I didn't think of that. If you put @ the truth and story in front of it, it will put a bright orange thing on there. So maybe I will be able to see it better, right? I think most people's consensus is to be careful about incense and pets for sure. And if you have a bird, please, even more so, right? Even more so, be so careful because birds are really sensitive, and it sounds like reptiles are sensitive. Yeah, so a lot of animals that will be. So I thought I saw Soren ask a question, but I cannot find it. And I don't know if we're positive of that because I haven't seen Soren talking. So I could be wrong. I thought it was something about the Star Tarot, which I know is being re-released. Okay. I just can't look. I just can't scroll back up. Oh, here we go. Storing. Do you have the Journey of the Hidden Realms, Tarot of the Hidden Realms? Yes. It's one of my older decks. And I absolutely love it. I have it right here. My first deck was a Llewellyn Tarot, and my second deck that I stuck with and had was the Shadowscapes, and then very quickly I got the Druidcraft and the Tarot of the Hidden Realms, and so those 4 decks are my oldest decks, and I love them still. I found with I let some people who had I had done a sale on my year ahead spread, and so I emailed everybody. I was like, if you have a deck, if I have it and you want one, this is for their year ahead reading. If I can do a deck that they would like, I like to do that. And I will say that by far the most requested deck was the Druidcraft. But the reason I bring these up is because they're around the same time. I love this deck. It is one of my favorites, one of my oldest. It is well loved. well used, well broken in. It is starting to get a little bit chippy at the bottom because I've had mine a long time and I riffle shuffle. So it's definitely starting to get a little bit chippy, but it's held up pretty well over these years. So welcome to a lovely deck, and I hope that you will enjoy your use of it. Let's go back up here. Oh, it looked like Sora, but that's because I saw your last name. Asked, do I use the Star Tarot? I will say that I don't use it a lot. I love the concept of it, and I absolutely love the symbolism in it. I love the guidebook for it. I did use it quite a bit for myself for a while. It's a little bit rainbowy, bright. I don't know how to describe it. The artwork isn't my absolute favorite in terms of style, but I love the symbolic nature of it. Yes, it certainly is, Chris. If you send me an email, I promise you I will not remember. I can guarantee I probably will not remember. Now, maybe I will because we just had this interaction. Maybe it will stick in my head. But if you email me, I'll write it on my list of readings and I'll put it by your name. So okay, I think I got off track here. Star Tarot. So I do think it's a beautiful deck. It's a deck that I have, and it's not a deck that I would get rid of, but it's not one that I use a lot either. So I don't know if that really helps to answer your question. I think it's a powerful deck. I think that she did an amazing job with the symbology, and I really enjoy the guidebook on it. And I don't always love it's not that I don't like guidebooks, but I don't often, it's not usually a compelling reason for me, and that one does have a compelling thing. So yeah, and I do think that the re-release having larger art is really important for this deck, and I probably would enjoy it more with the larger art. So I am very glad to see that it's being re-released. Nina said, or no, October Sky says, I've had Llewellyn since it came out and it won't let me let it go. I have two. I have my original one that I trimmed all the way down to the images, but then I also repurchased it because I actually missed the big borders. On that one, I missed the big borders, and so I have a secondary one. Boy 2012 says, hi Kelly, are you aware of the new crow deck called Murder of Crows? Ooh, I do love crows. I'm gonna try to Google this. Searching Google for murder of crows isn't. This is why we're not talking about top. I can't even talk. Murder of Crows. But I'm gonna add tarot to it and hit individual. I actually see a couple. It looks like a black and white deck. I love the Crow Tarot so much. Like, the Crow Tarot is one of my definite 2019 loves. And this one is, if it's the black and white version, it looks a little bit like Gothic-y or something. I see a person with like a cross on their chest. Maybe that's the High Priestess with the crows. I don't see a ton of images, so I will definitely leave this up here and take a look at it because I do love crows for sure. So thank you for giving me the heads up to take a look at it. Scrolling. Javon says, Shadowscapes was my first purchase, and I came on YouTube, and that is so awesome. That is really cool. Shadowscapes is an amazing deck. I recommend it a lot for new readers. It is a deck that I gave to my daughter she's got other decks, but I was saying, okay, this is the one to learn off of. I have a lot of fond memories I worked very closely with the Shadowscape for quite some time, and I think it's amazing. Trying to scroll back up. People are talking about a $700 deck. I'm not sure what they're talking about here. My guess is it's they're talking about this the Lightseers Tarot, maybe the indie version, probably with the original Ten of Swords card. I'm guessing that's what they're talking about, but I have lost track of that. Okay. Shimmering Veil. Hello there, Mr. Zach. Have I seen the Shimmering Veil Tarot? No. Nope. I'm clicking it. Shimmering Veil Tarot. Just another WordPress site. But no, I have not seen that one. And that's not showing me any images. I've got the link up here. I've got the thing opened up so that I can. It looks. Is it by the Days of Creation artist? That's kind of what I'm seeing. Her art kind of popping up, so I'm guessing it is her artwork. She's an amazing artist. I love Days of Creation, so I'll definitely take a closer look there. I know we don't have to talk about decks. It's anything goes, but people are asking me about decks. The Whispering Well, 700 is mad even for the Lightseers. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine spending $700 for a Lightseer, even though I love the deck. But you know, people do what they're gonna do with their own money. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, it is the Lightseers. That's what they're talking about. Okay. Yes, I am. Hello, Susanna. I am going to do a standout decks video. Actually, I'm going to do a favorite video just of all my year favorite things, decks, teas, things. I'm just going to do a big favorite, a favorites video. I have a lot of the stuff pulled out for it, so I wanting to get that done before the new year, so that will be coming. For sure. I'm waiting for the only deck that I'm waiting for is I cannot wait for the Dark Woods Tarot. Is it called the Dark Woods Tarot? It's a pre-order, I think, on Amazon, but it is, I think it's not due out till spring, like June or something like that. And I cannot wait for that deck so much. My one deck I was waiting for this year was the Majestic Earth, and it did not disappoint me whatsoever. So I'm hoping that the Dark Woods Tarot will not disappoint as well, because it looks like it was made for me. Absolutely gorgeous. Chris asks, what is your next upcoming class? Will it be on Zoom? All of my classes take place on Zoom. I actually put up all of my classes and the dates. I've never done that before, and obviously they are subject to change. You know, the furthest ones out, like the dates might wiggle a little bit, but I wanted to try to have all the classes and their dates so that people could better be able to plan for what classes they want to take. So though I just put the link up to the classes, and if you look at each of them, you'll see what are the classes that I'm going to be doing and what dates they're going to be, and that way people can plan. I hope that is going to be a little bit easier for people. But yes, all of my classes take place on Zoom live, and then they're available for playback later. No problem whatsoever, Mr. Chris. And I appreciate you asking. I'm hoping the Greenwood Tarot. I've heard that the Greenwood Tarot is going to be I've heard that the Greenwood Tarot is going to be reprinted, so my guess is that it is going to. But I thought I got on a mailing list, but I haven't seen anything about it. Zoom is just a free. It doesn't cost you anything. A Zoom is a group, so that you can have group videos and you can talk, everybody can talk and everybody can have their video on or not have their video on. But it's similar to being in a YouTube group channel, I guess, like maybe similar to what Google Hangouts used to be, but it doesn't cost anything. That, I mean, the class does, but it doesn't cost anything to get on Zoom. I do too wish that Zoom and YouTube would merge. Miss Kaleidoscope asked if I got my new. Yes, I did. Unfortunately, the timing was wretched for my computer, but yes, I do have a new computer, a new laptop. I am on Windows. I'm actually kind of enjoying Windows, even though it was very painful to make the decision that I had to change. But yes, I have made it. And I definitely agree that they shouldn't have discontinued Google Hangouts. I agree. I mean, there's obviously some reason for it. Kelly, does your casting methods class serve as a previous? Yes. Yes, Al. If you, yes. The short answer is yes. If you take the casting methods class, you'll have all of the basic information that I teach on runes. And so you could then go into the intermediate runes class. Yes. No, nothing does last forever, Miss Morgan. That is for sure. That is for sure. Tosh says, are you still working on Oracle deck? Yes, I am. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited. I actually got a test box, but I don't like the box. I'm going to be redoing it. But I did get a test box because I was wondering how hexagon cards would go into the tech box, but I am happy with that. And I'm super, super happy with, it doesn't show in this. You can see on my Instagram better to see the actual color because it doesn't show up here. But I am thrilled with the way that they printed out. So yeah, I'm hoping to have everything done. My goal was by the end of December, but it's probably beginning of January. And it'd be ready for printing sometime in January. So yes, Tasha, I am still working on it. And I, have to push over the finish line. But thank you so much for asking. Yeah, my tokens are hexagram, and because my tokens are hexagrams, it's created a lot of spreads that are based on that hexagon shape. So when I thought of going back and repainting and painting the deck versus the tokens, I definitely wanted to keep that shape to hold true to the tokens, which is what it's based off of. Okay, let's see. Chris asked, I wonder if you would ever consider teaching an astrology class. I would not. I really would not. I don't consider myself to be an astrologist. I use astrology for myself. Actually, I got a really an app I found recently that I am in love with because it sends me alerts and things like that for things that are changing. I love this app. I don't know if I can tell you what the name of it is. I love this app so much. But anyways, my point is it's called Time Nomad. And I'm loving that app there. But anyways, was I answering the question of? I was answering Chris's question of astrology. So I love astrology. I use astrology myself, but I do not consider myself to be an astrologist. And I feel like to teach a course on astrology, I would need to be an astrologist. Now, I could see myself in the future doing a beginner's astrology class, and it would be a beginner's, and I could easily see myself teaching something like that, but I wouldn't be going on to teaching intermediate or anything like that because I don't consider myself to be qualified to teach that. Recommended resources. Benabel Wen has a astrology class that I think you just get the bundle and then it like has all of the things ready. I think it's like, I want to say it's $40. You get access to all of her paper, all of her brain. And this is why we're not talking about a topic, because I cannot speak. You get access to all of her resources, and she has an amazing amount of resources. And so that to me is well worth the $40. That's the only class that I can think that would be kind of class-based that I can think of, that I just know because I purchased it, and so I know what resources you get in it, and I think it's just well worth it because of just those resources. So yeah, so that would be the one thing. And I would also maybe go on Patrick's. Yeah, I purchased it. I haven't gone through it. Like, I already read astrology before I got it. I really just wanted all of her resources. So I don't know that I've watched all of the classes or anything, and I certainly wasn't coming from it with no understanding at all of astrology. So I can't really say how good it is for somebody who knows nothing about astrology and just goes into that. I can't really speak to that, but I do know that the resources that you get are well worth the money. Also, I would say maybe go to thelivingwheel.com, which is Patrick's website. I do think he has a resource tab that might have some other information as well that might help. Okay, scrolling back. I must have missed something. Okay, scrolling back. Much trickier for yeah, it's gonna have to be. Somebody's suggestion was around 10, which would be cool. I would actually like that. I'll have to look into it. Obviously, it would have to be the right size to be able to fit it. So I will have to just take a peek and see if that's even possible. I know I could get a square tin for it to be in, but I don't know about a round tin. Being new, I tried to learn using intuitions and symbols, suits, court cards, jump to Kabbalah, then to numerology, astrology, and all that. Well, my class definitely does not go into all of the astrology. There's no astrology in my tarot class. I don't actually use astrology in reading tarot. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't take it somewhat into account, and I'm not aware of what some various associations to astrology the cards are, but it isn't something that it's not something that I use as a general sense for reading, and that would be a separate. Astrology with tarot, I think, would be something separate. So that will not be will not be there. There's tons of things that you can layer on top of tarot, and I think that very much what Simon is saying is it's easy to kind of jump in the deep end with so many different things that people have layered on top of tarot, that I think kind of taking a step back and building that step by step versus just like the whole enchilada probably does most people more benefit than just a deep dive, is my opinion. Okay. Scrolling back, I often recommend the book The Stars Within You. Dustin is recommending a book called The Stars Within You, so you can check that out. The only books I have, I'm too analytical meditations help me calm my brain. I do think everybody's talking about how astrology is kind of a deep dark hole. I do think there is a way to appreciate and enjoy and enter into astrology without it, without again diving into a black hole, right? I think as with everything, kind of stepping back and really getting the basics, which for me, the way that I learned were the basic structure of the sentence, right? What are the planets? What do the planets mean? What are the signs? What do the signs mean? What are the houses? What do the houses mean? Because then when you have a basic understanding of those, it can just plug into a sentence where you're getting a basic idea of what energy, where is it happening, and what is it doing. And so you can kind of gain a lot of information off of just kind of stepping back into those basic things. Then of course you can deep dive off the deep end for that, but starting with that sort of solid basics, I think, and really getting comfortable and solid there before deep diving is certainly recommended. There is a Christmas Rider-Waite-Smith on Etsy that looks really amazing. It looks like an old-fashioned kind of Christmas theme to it that is really beautiful. Okay, let me scroll up here and see what I've missed. Kind of my brain. Thank you, Nikki, for the recommendation of the Truth and Story. That makes it a lot easier for me to scroll up and see orange things. Nina says, I just bought the Soul Cards 1 and 2 and love them both. Yeah, I mean, they're amazing. They're not decks that ever became like decks that I use all the time. And they didn't quite do it for me. Not because the art wasn't amazing. The art was. I'm not really sure why that never clicked for me in terms of using them, but they are pretty amazing. Sandra K says, hello all. Does everyone still love the Majestic? It is one of my absolute all-time favorite decks. So yes, it is. Did not disappoint me whatsoever. I have loved using it so much. I've used it for myself. I've used it for clients, and I absolutely love it. So that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Everybody else will have to answer. Okay, scrolling up for anything with an orange tag on it. Being new, I tried to learn. Oh, I think I talked about that. Stars Within, we talked about that. Okay, I think I've hit everything. Dustin, apparently, well, you can go check that out. Apparently, Dustin did a basic how to read your birth chart on your channel. Even that was so much. There is so much. Yeah, no, I agree. Ismail said, hi, I just logged on. Gives me a chance to say thank you so much for the series on Lenormand cards. I've done tarot for over 45 years, but Lenormand wasn't interesting to me. Your videos are great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I am so glad that you enjoy the videos. Lenormand is an amazing system, and if it gets anybody to take a look at it, if my videos do, get anybody to take a look and dive into it, I am thrilled to hear that. So I'm so glad. So glad. Okay, I think I'm not going to scroll back any further. Well, I see somebody said there might be a second Davis deck. That's pretty awesome. Dustin is, oh my gosh, I was just oh no, I'm not going to say it right. I'm trying to find it. Modern Metaphysic Man. Modern Metaphysics Man. There we go. I can't apparently say that. Kelly, are you still using the World Unknown archetypes? I am, Al. I have to say I haven't done a ton of work with it, but I definitely have. I definitely have done some work for myself with it. And it's one of those things where I do a pull, and it's something I'm leaving on my table for quite some time. So I have, so yes, but not a lot. It's just kind of, I'm just slowly working with it. But I am enjoying it. If by enjoying, I mean, it's been a lot of work. Um, it's been definitely, when I do a reading for myself with it, it's definitely a kind of dig beneath the surface kind of feel to it. Davis is a deck that does not have faces. Devas of Creation is a deck that has all sort of abstract art. I hope her second version has titles and numbers you can read. So it has very abstract art. It does, I guess it does have figures in it, so I can't say there's no people in it. Sorry, that's a misnomer. So it does have figures, but they're usually very like shrouded in light or shrouded in darkness. There's a lot of like all of the planets, and there's universe cards and things like this. One is beautiful. I absolutely love this deck. What I love about the deck is the way that she incorporates in her guidebook. She incorporates the understanding that's of science and spirit not being something separate. She kind of associates the genetic coding that tells something to be what it is the same exact thing as what that spark of spirit is. It tells something to be what it is. And it's really beautiful. Intricate faces. The one you use in some of your readings with the intricate faces. I'm really blanking, Molly. Good night, Miss Kaleidoscope. I hope you have a good night's sleep. I can't think, Miss Molly, of what you're thinking of. I'm so sorry, but I'm having a complete blank about what deck you might be talking about. And as for the Devas of Creation, I don't know if that's out of print. I'm not entirely sure if that is out of print. Has many man animals. Miss Nikki, man animals. There's a house. Okay, I'm losing track of the conversation. Wisdom Keepers does have very intricate faces, but no, yeah, that's definitely a different deck. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. With a lot of older women. Are you talking about the Weaver's Oracle? This one? This is the Weaver's Oracle. Oh, I love this lament card. Read this lament story and keep a dry eye, and you will be, I will be really impressed if you manage to read that story with a dry eye. Maybe you're talking about this one, Molly. I feel like I am gonna, I love this card. So I'm guessing maybe this is the one that you're talking about, Miss Molly. Oh, I love this one. She's the one that really is shakes up some energy. So yeah, I don't know if you're talking about that one. Perhaps we'll see. Oh nope, it's the Wisdom Keepers. Well, the Weaver's Oracle is amazing too. Yeah, no, that's one of my all-time favorites, of course. Chris said the first two words I ever heard Kelly say on YouTube was Miss Kaleidoscope. That's too funny. That is too funny. She has definitely been around probably close to as long as I have had a channel. Biffy, hello, Miss Biffy. Does anyone have any suggestions for an oracle deck that would complement the Lightseers Tarot? An oracle deck. I absolutely love my Lenormand deck with it. But you're not asking for a Lenormand deck, but that is one. It's one of my favorite decks to use with my deck because the color payoff is so amazing. Oracle deck wise, I have used, even though they aren't the same art wise, I have used the Angels and Ancestor Oracle deck with it. I have used the Spirit of the Animals deck with it, which is by Jody Bergsma. If you like animals, I've been using this one with it. Those are probably the two. I can't think that I've used another oracle deck. Oh, yes, this one. I love this one with it. The Sacred Destiny. This look here. Let me pull out. Let me see. Here's this. I don't want to mix up the Lightseers because I want to compare it, so I'm not going to mix it up. But no, it is not. It's on the. It's not the same cardstock at all. It's a linen plain cardstock. Oh, I love the. I don't know. It just has a lot of really vibrant colors. It just has a lot of vibrant colors, and I just really like the way these two work. Okay, I'm going to get this. Sorry, I'm trying to do something impossible, which is to not mess up the order of the deck so that I can have it intact to do a quick walkthrough, comparison, and to give it to my daughter. But I do really love the Sacred Destiny Oracle deck with the Lightseers Tarot. So those are the ones that I've used with it. Hopefully that will help whoever had asked about that. Chris, I do have a video showing the new cardstock, so I will. I'll try to get that up now that we're about halfway through the pre-order. So I've got it filmed. I just have to edit it so you can see that a little bit closer. I know it's I wouldn't say it's better, but in some ways I love them both. They're just very different. I really love the shuffling of the linen cardstock, and I really like how it feels in the mini version. It riffle shuffles. I can riffle shuffle the mini version really well. So it's I'm a riffle shuffler, so those types of things are important for me. So I will do a video, and that should go. I've got a bunch of videos either recorded or piled to record. I'm going to bash out a bunch, and I'm probably just going to dump everything onto the channel before the year's up and start the year fresh. So be prepared for a lot of walkthroughs because I will be just putting everything up. Oh no, Mr. Chris. Well, hopefully you will like it. Hopefully you will. I do mention it on the website, so I'm sorry if you missed that. Yes, I'm going to do a card pull. What time is it? Oh yes, we are past our card pull time. Let me just skim back here to see if I forgot anything else. I think somebody was asking why I love the Weaver's Oracle. I have a walkthrough of it up. I will be talking about it in my favorites video because it's definitely one of my favorite Oracle decks. I definitely use it a lot. And I find it to be an extraordinarily powerful deck. But for me, it's the guidebook. The guidebook on the Weaver's Oracle, in particularly, not even the whole spread of the guidebook, but the stories that come with each of the Weavers, to me, is just pure and beautiful Oracle. It's a bibliomancy deck for me that it's bibliomancy that gets me to that story, and the story I find to be incredibly powerful and absolutely love it. So yeah, I'm definitely, and I agree with Nina, like just because I think it's amazing, and I do, and just because it really works with a particular reading, I do a web reading with it, and it just is the anchor for that reading, and it works amazingly for me. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to like it. I mean, we all have different tastes. We all react to different things. We're all looking for different things. And so there's no wrong or right to whether or not you like a deck or not. Miss Hanaconda confessed, sadly, we can no longer be friends because you confessed to not vibing with the Hidden Realms. No. It's not for everybody, right? There are so many things. There's so many reasons why we love certain things, and why a deck really works well for one person and doesn't work for another person. And so there's nothing wrong with that. I think it would be weird if everybody did love the exact same decks. So Sacred House book. Oh, maybe are we talking about the same thing, Tiffany? My book is over there because I always have the book out by my reading table. So are we talking about the same? Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm talking about just the guidebook. I'll have to, I'm going to Google this and then just leave the tab up so I can check into that later. Because I'm not sure. That seems like something different, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. Oh, it's not the guidebook. Yeah, that I don't know. Nana kind of said I wasn't supposed to see it. I saw it. I saw it. Okay, rolling up there. Yeah, people are confessing. I love grannies, but for some reason I can't cook the Weavers. Yeah. Yeah, and I totally get it. I don't think it's for everybody. And for me, again, it's not really the deck, even though I'm impressed with her artwork. But to me, it's the guidebook and the stories. All right, I am going to do a card pull. I'm just scrolling up to see if I missed anything. Jamie Lynn says, what pre-order? I don't know if Miss Jamie Lynn was talking to me or not, but that could be somebody else's conversation. Sorry if I am. It's so hard to know when somebody's asking me directly or if they were already talking about some other deck. So I'll wait and see if she wants to reiterate what she is talking. Let's choose one of these new decks because we can. We should have a chat called Tarot Confessions one week. My confession is that I did not vibe with the Tarot Muha. I tried, but returned it. It was just dead for me. I love the Tarot Muha, except for the cardstock peeling on me horribly. And the Judgment card is so creepy. But I do love the Tarot Muha, but I don't use it a lot. Oh, no, Hannah Conda is like just throwing it all in there. She doesn't like the Druid Crafts. Because it has to, oh no, there's no pre-order on my Oracle deck yet. No. That will be sometime in January. I have to finish the images. I have the test decks of all the cards that I have up till now, and I'm thrilled with the colors and everything, but I have to finish that. So that will be sometime in January. I would say by the end of January is the best closest approximation that I will get. Hopefully it's closer to the beginning of January, but it may be closer to the end. So no, the pre-order is talking about my Lenormand deck, is in another printing of the regular size, but I've added a mini in. So that's, I think, what we were talking about. No to the Oracle deck yet. Gaming Tarot, I've got it right here. I was told to look at this probably by you. And so I haven't done anything. I haven't looked at it or anything yet. I just haven't had the time yet. So I haven't done it. But okay, I want to do a couple things. I'm getting really distractible. I can feel my distractibility coming in. I do want to pull a card for the week because I actually miss I know Ultraviolet Morgan's like, what does 2 feety mean? I'm guessing that you see too many feet in them. I love bare feet. I never have shoes on unless I have to. So I like the feety nature of things. But Nina, I think you just got accidentally. That's all. You just got accidentally blocked. Sometimes when you go to try to do one person, you accidentally grab the one above or below. I've done it myself, so it was nothing to do with you. Feety equals Will using his feet as drawing models. I have no clue, Chris. I don't even want to know. I absolutely love I love the Druid craft, and I'm not going to look at their feet. There are a lot of bare feet people in the Druid craft, but I quite like them. Hannah kind of says she doesn't mind bare feet, but the Druidcraft feet strike me red. I don't ruin it. Don't ruin it for us, Hannah Conda. Everybody is going to be looking at the feet now, and I'm going to be never able to use that deck again. Somebody says, I find for readings nudity is distracting, and then I lose my train of thought. Then you probably wouldn't like the Hangman and the Druidcraft, for sure. Something, I'm not sure what they're talking about there. I'm having a hard time with the full oh, okay, here we go. Red Hat Tarot says, I'm having a hard time with the full frontal of a male on the darkness of light. Maybe I'm too conservative. I thought you were talking about the Hanged Man in Druidcraft, who is quite full frontal and hangy. Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't really bother me. I don't really pay attention. If it's obnoxious, what bothers me is if it is obnoxious. If it's like ridiculously posed, like if you have nude women and they're posed in like really overly sexual and just kind of just looking over the top, that kind of stuff irritates me. But nothing in the darkness. I love the Darkness of Light. That is one of my favorite decks. Sorry, Dustin. Well, you know what I mean. But like that card doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me if it comes up in a reading. Nothing in the Darkness of Light bothers me in men or women nudity, because I don't think any of it's gratuitous. I feel like it just feels pretty natural. So that doesn't bother me. Oh, what do you think about it, Jamie? I'm so sad about the white borders, but do you maybe like it more than I would think so? Mary Owl's, I will say Mary Owl is a little bit more in your face, and it definitely does. I only use that for certain clients. So I have used it for clients, but they're with people that I just know love the deck, and or they're just with clients that I know don't have any issue with that kind of thing. But I would be careful about who I used it with because it is pretty up front and center. I don't mind nudity as long as it's drawn, painted, photographed well. I'm not a prude, I'm a snob. I love that, Molly. I I do like that. I know. Look at some of the fool cards in some of the old Marseille decks. Is pretty hilarious. It is very powerful, Marielle. And it's certainly not something I would just randomly pull out for everybody. Jamie says she does like it with the white borders. I really was kind of, and you know how much I love that deck. And I'm just kind of like, not sure about that white. Is for me, the black borders of the darkness of light are what makes the sunbeams, the moonlight and the sunlight really just pop in that deck. And so I kind of feel like the white borders in my head, the white borders just would kind of detract from that pop of light that happens in that deck. That's something that I really love when I'm reading with that. Okay, I'm going to pay attention here. Okay, so I'm pulling our card of the week. Woo! I'm going to throw cards around. We have the King of Pentacles. This is with we do this once a week with the Art of Life Tarot. And that's where I keep my cards in. And the quote here is, wealth stays with us a little moment, if at all. Only our characters are steadfast, not our gold. And I really love that. I really love that with the King of Pentacles, right? Because I don't really think of the King of Pentacles necessarily as like a rich man. Now I just had the rich man. Is it a rich man in Fiddlers on the Roof? It's probably not even that. That's not even probably the line in the Fiddler on the Roof song, but it like brought that song right into head. That dun, 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 dun. Anyways, I'm rolling off. But I do think that he is steadfast, right? There is that sense of steadfastness about the King of Pentacles, and that wealth is just but a fleeting thing, right? But our characters are what really matters. If I was a rich man. Thank you, Nikki. So I quite like that, and especially now around the holidays. I mean, I feel like we all, to some degree, not all, because not everybody celebrates the same way, but I think that if we are people who have Christmas things to do and Christmas obligations, or people that we want to be buying presents for, it all can get very overwhelming. It can get very much too focused in on the money side. Am I spending enough money? This person might be buying me a gift. Am I spending the equal amount of gift? It kind of can get like that over this time of year. And money doesn't mean anything, right? Christmas is about our connections to other people, and it's about our character and how we connect with each other. And so staying steadfast in those things versus worrying about all the finances and stuff like that this year or this week might be a good reminder for us. And I love that, Miss Molly. Miss Molly says, I always think with that card, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? I absolutely love that, Molly. And it's probably nothing to do with money, right? The answer to the question of what kind of legacy do you want to leave is probably nothing to do with money. What other thing, the pentacles are not just about money. The pentacles are about our time, and it's about our focus and our attention, our resources of time, our resources of energy. And so, giving somebody your access to your time, giving somebody your attention, that is far more long-standing of a legacy to give than money has to do with it. Of course, we all love money, or we all need money, I should say. We have to pay our bills. Money is not saying money is this horrible thing, but it isn't the be all and the end all. And especially when it comes to something like the holiday time, where money can get really stressful. It's so far not the point, so far in the other direction, not the point. And so remembering that it's really more about your character, and it's really more about what you're leaving behind versus how much money that you've made is a good reminder. So That's our card, but I need a deck with tigers. Oof, I don't know. You know what has some good tigers in it is the Litha Tarot. Oh, I am so sorry. Children of Litha Tarot. I feel like that has tigers in it. Of course, I won't be able to find any. I won't be able to find any tigers now that I've said that. I love this deck so much. This is not a tiger, but it's not a tiger, but maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like there's a tiger in the all card, which is extra card. I'm just skimming. There's a jaguar. There's a half tiger in the temperance card. Yeah, I feel like there's multiple tigers in here. That's only 2 though. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. Here's some tigers fighting here in the 5 of Wands. A white tiger and an orange tiger. This is one of my favorite decks of 2019. I love it so very, 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 very much. Maybe that's it. on a quick look, I guess that's it. There's again, lots of cats, leopards, and panthers and things of that. But oh, it's for your story. If you want a picture of that, a particular card, oof, let me know, Al. I love this deck. Yeah, I'm excited to do my favorites. The tiger is gorgeous in the Marielle. Absolutely gorgeous. Kelly, are you backing the Lithic Artist new deck on the Kickstarter? No. I went back and forth about it. But I'm waiting for her other decks that we can mix and match with the Children of Litha. It's a very different deck than this one in terms of color vibrancy and things like that. So I think it's made of glyphs and things like that. And I don't know, I guess a deck of glyphs, I don't know. It didn't pull me in. I haven't looked super close at it, so I haven't ruled it out, but my initial looking at it didn't cause me to say I've got to have that deck. So not at the minute. Okay. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. I love the Rackham Oracle. I haven't used sigils. Thank you. I haven't used the tarot deck that much. I'm too in love with the John Bauer, so I haven't really used the Rackham Tarot too much, even though of course I love it because I love his artwork. I haven't read with it. I mostly just use the Rackham Oracle. Yeah, I don't either, Miss Molly, and I don't think I want to know either. Yeah, definitely not. The only one that I really am, again, waiting for at the moment is the Dark Woods Tarot. And I cannot wait for that because it just feels like a darker adult fairy tale deck. The color palette looks like that beautiful luxuriousness of the Dark Mansion, but with this beautiful old style dark fairy tale look to it. So I can't wait for that one. Have you seen what the guy who did the Rackham Oracle said about? No, I don't. I try not to see what people are talking about. What people say, if it's going to make me roll their eyes. I really don't pay attention to a lot of what's going on. I'm waiting for the Dark Woods and the Sacred Seed Oracle, said Nina. Are you still waiting for that, Jamie? I'm sorry. I am sorry. Hopefully that will be soon. I think the artist for the Darkwood Tarot has a Facebook page that I follow, and you can see a lot more of the art, but I'm really excited about it. Even though I think it's going to obviously be full of beautiful people. Let's see. Close that. Now I've lost you, so I can't see anybody. I clicked something I shouldn't have clicked. There we go. Oof. What is the Sacred Seed Oracle? Is it related to Sacred Seed on YouTube? No. I don't know what the Sacred Seed Oracle is, but I don't believe it has anything to do with Sacred Seed on that. I just got the Rackham Oracle this week. It works great with the tarot deck, but I get a bit lost on what the cards mean. Are you talking about the bigger one, Terry, the mass market one that doesn't have any titles or anything on it? I feel like I like the one that has obviously the keywords and things on it. How works Dark Mansion Tarot for you in terms of readings? Absolutely amazing. I did all of my Embrace the Magical. So I have a reading that I do during during October, and I did all of my readings for that with the Dark Mansion, and I absolutely loved how it reads. Yeah, gaming Terry, that would be hard. I mean, obviously there's a lot of intuitiveness that you can gain with the images, but I do enjoy to have titles and some keywords to jump off as well. So I can certainly understand. I don't have that one because I already have the other one. I didn't feel like I needed both of the oracles. Have you ever read the book Shadow and Evil and Fairy Tales? That sounds really familiar. I'm gonna Google. For me, to be honest, unless it's something new, for me to know everything I have read about fairy tales is really hard. That came out in 1995. I'll have to see if I can. It looks like there's a look inside. Molly, I'll have to take a little bit closer. My guess is that I probably have read it, but I can't say off the top of my head. And so I couldn't say whether to recommend it or not. So I'll have to take a closer look and see if I can remember it. Yeah, I definitely know her name. I definitely recognize her name, but I don't want to recommend it because my guess is that I have read it and it's probably my instinct is it's probably a good book. But I'll have to look closer at it before I want to say that. Not till July. I'm guessing you're talking about the Bone Stone. Let's see. Sacred Seed is by some folks who did work here online. Oh, yes. I did see the Sacred Seed Oracle. But yeah, I haven't seen it. I mean, I saw that they were producing one, but I haven't seen it. So I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. I know I know that this is everybody, not everybody. This is quite a lot of people's worst nightmare of a live chat where we are really, and I am very unfocused. So I do apologize, but to me, this kind of thing is more about hanging out with each other, people who are here, and it's probably not going to be the one that most people will want to watch back. So I'm going to try not to apologize too much, or Miss Nikki will throw something at me. I asked you because you I always think of you. Yes. No, I feel in the 90s, since 95, I feel like I probably did read it. I just have read so many things. So on fairy tales over the course of going to school. So it's just kind of like, it looks familiar. And that's as far as I can go with it. Terry, I've been thinking of you this past week. Thank you so much, Terry. Good to see you doing. Yes, I almost skipped it. If I hadn't skipped last week, I might have skipped today because that's how my brain is. It's definitely a hard week for me, but I appreciate your thoughts so much. I don't know what Simon's waiting for something else. I think he's learning patience apparently, but I'm not sure what over. But okay, that's as far as I'm going to. Morgan wants us to stop naming decks that she wants. La, 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 la. Okay, I'm not scrolling back anymore. If I missed something, then please just repeat it. Oh, I don't know. I thought I saw something about Simon. I thought I saw something about you having patience, or you have patience, or you're in denial, or something. I'm sorry, Simon. I drug you into the mix on something as I was scrolling up. I know now I'm going to end up having to pick that book up and take a look at it. Miss Molly, thank you very much. Okay. So let's take a quick look. Oh, so I want to talk about this real quick. I did do a walkthrough of this. I just haven't edited it. Story of my life right now. This is called the Sacred Traveler's Oracle cards. And I have to say, oh, I can't wait for that Hanaconda. I absolutely, I really do like the new Sabrina a lot. So I'm excited for the new season. So some of you who've watched my channel a long time know, I generally in December, I get a deck that is very specific towards being supportive. It's generally a sweet-based deck, as Miss Nina said. It's generally what I would term a hug deck, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean that in a literal way, that it's going to be supportive. I don't really need anything to call me out in December, and so I generally try to look for a deck that is similar to those types of things. Usually very much inner child feeling to the decks. And so this was a deck that I picked for this year. And so this is called the Sacred Traveler. It is really sweet. Again, I've worked with this deck for quite a few months now, and I love it. This is by Denise Lynn. And so I love this so much. Not so much for the keywords. I have to redo the walkthrough because I love the deck. But it's not so much because of the keywords, but if you really lean into the understanding that each of the cards represents a landscape. So what is a landscape that you might be moving within? It just makes this really powerful. And so I've enjoyed that one so much that I thought I would pick this one up. And it is like stepping into a fairy tale, not the adult Dark Woods fairy tales, but the Once Upon a Time, the fables, snuggled up with your kids on the couch and they're little and reading them fairy tales. That's what it feels like. The backs are beautiful. They're a purple mandala, really gorgeous. Backings. It's the nice, this is I feel like this is the frustration about the Light Seers Tarot from Houses. This is that beautiful matte cardstock. I just don't know why the Light Seers wasn't on this cardstock. But anyways, the art is very soft. It's very much that Once Upon a Time. You get little, hints to Aladdin. You get hints to different cultures. Like here's a more Asian here. You have knights. You have Vikings going in ships, often ships. You have squirrels. You have castles in the sky. You have beautiful queens sitting in solitude and reading their books. You have, again, knights. You have like Winter Queen looking scenes here. It's really beautiful and sweet. Some of the messages on the bottom are a little much for me. They're a little bit too sweet for me sometimes. And again, that can be the place that I'm in, right? So if if you're not, if you're working with, you know, I don't know how to, if you are working with grief and you get a message and on the bottom it's like you are exactly where the universe wants you to be, it can get a little bit obnoxious. But that's my choice, right? That's my choice in picking this type of deck when I'm in this space, this natural space. But so I would actually probably love it if it was just the titles and the images without that. But I also think that some of them are really beautiful too. So I really enjoyed it. I need to, again, I just need to edit the walkthrough. There are, it is like going on a hero's journey. There are obstacles. There are things that are causing you to reroute. There's no, like, what I would say shadow cards, but there are difficult cards, or understanding that you do need to get a different perspective, or that you've got to do the hard work of breaking the trail, or that type of thing. So, of course, is a dragon with its treasure here, which I love. So I love the wise leader here is pretty awesome. I love the grounding. There's a couple cards that I feel like the energy kind of overlaps. This is generally a problem, I think, with some oracle decks, where they're just taking a bunch of images or whatever it is they're doing. Sometimes oracle decks tend to have the issue where they'll have like a couple different cards that are basically the same message, just a little bit not much different. I found that most of the ones in here that are similar, there is a nuance there that does give some nuanced readings to it. And I got this card here with the chickadee in it, which is very important to me and my son. And so that was really sweet experience. I love the answering the call card. I'm going to sneeze. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So for all of you who recommended that I get it, and definitely for Captain Nolan, if he watches this back, it was certainly worth the $8 that I paid for it. So let's just pull a card here and see what we get. Yes, it is very much like taking you back into child book, fairy tale books. It's definitely of the once upon a time kind of theme. And sometimes that's what we need, right? Sometimes that's what we need. Simon says something about Sound of Music. I always used to switch sound. Oh, no, Simon, no, don't turn it off. I love the Sound of Music. It can be a little bit long, but I was very young when I watched it and I loved it. And I was very much in love with Captain Von Trapp. He was probably my first movie crush, to be honest. I was madly in love with him. And it would have been him before Rhett Butler. It's not Rhett Butler. Oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking on the actor's name. I'm totally blanking, and I love him. It would be very much this would Christopher Plummer. Yeah, no, but I'm thinking of the guy who plays Rhett Butler is who I'm blanking on, and I love him. I can't believe that I have blanked on his name. Clark Gable. Thank you, Brianne. Oh, yes. Christopher Plummer. I was in love with him when I was little. And in The Sound of Music, I just had a crush on him. And Clark Gable was definitely up there as one of my first crushes as a young person, as a young child. I watched a lot of the old movies. I remember I didn't have a television. We only got movies in. We rented the projectors at the library. You used to be able to rent projectors and then you could rent the reels, with the actual taped film, actual films in a can. So you would order, or you would rent the projector, and then you could rent film canisters. And so then you could watch a lot of older movies, a lot of black and white movies and things like that. And you could rent them from the library. And so that's generally the movies that we watch, because we didn't have a television. So shows my age. I don't know if you can rent projectors anymore in the library, but somewhere in my wicked, miserable past, I must have done a moment of good, or must have had a moment of good, because here you are standing there loving me, whether or not you should. Somewhere in my wicked, yeah, that's a good song. That's a sad song. Do people still go to the library? I don't know, Adam. I don't. I'll be honest, I don't go to the library anymore. Yeah, I don't go to the library. I go to Kindle. Of course, you can also now get a lot of Kindle books through your library. I love my large Thoth trimmed as well. Morgan goes to the library. I went to the library all the time when I had little kids. We lived at the library, but I will say that I don't go to the library now. There's not one that's really close to me. I think that's part of it. Like, it's not one. The closest library to me is actually in the other state, because I'm right on the border. And so that's kind of frustrating. Like, if I want to go to a decent library, I've got to go like downtown, and that's just not something that I tend to go to. So I really don't read a lot of physical books. I'm either listening to audiobooks or books on Kindle, because I can make the font large enough so that I can read it. So, yeah. Sorry, I know I'm over shuffling this, but it's a relatively new deck, and we're chit-chatting. So, my first celebrity crush was George Michael, said Anaconda. Oh, no. Isn't that so funny, our crushes? I do remember having a poster of John Stamos on my wall when I was in grade school. And also, what was the guy's name from, wasn't the Partridge Family? There's another guy that was a singer, like a poppy singer, like John Stamos was at the time, with blonde hair. I can't remember what his name was. Anyways, I have a halfway decent paper trimmer with the slidey thingy, not the guillotine. Does that work? I have used this. I prefer scissors, Al, in terms of cutting. I do. David Cassidy, thank you. 78 cards tell a story. Leaf Garrett, too. Miss Nina, we got some people who know. Sometimes with the slider, so we're talking about trimming decks. Sorry, we're having multiple conversations. Sometimes if you trim decks with a slider, it can create kind of a ridge on it, I have found, but I may not have a really good one either. I have a decent one. It cuts watercolor paper. They weren't bed posters. They were just on my wall. But that had to have been before 5th grade, because I wasn't allowed to listen to any kind of secular music after 5th grade. So that had to have been, pretty young. Yeah, I haven't seen Mr. Jones Davy. David Cassidy, was he on a, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of these things. Do you guys know Adam Ant? I know the name. Yeah, I've seen him on Facebook. He's definitely posted on Facebook, but I haven't seen him on YouTube. Adam was in love with Winona Ryder. Now we're getting to our first crushes. Who is everybody's first crush? Christina must watch Sound of Music again, definitely. You know what I got to watch again because I'm massively, and I know this is so bad. Oh, Eva Green, yeah. I would have Eva Green on a poster. If we're talking about the Penny Dreadful, I'm probably thinking of the wrong person. That's not even her name. But I would have her on a poster. I was going to say something and I totally lost it. Oh, I'm totally loving Disney Plus. And so I got to rewatch Pollyanna. Do you remember Pollyanna? Oh, I loved, yes, I feel like everybody would want Eva Green on their wall. That's my opinion. Like, who wouldn't? Same thing with Kate Beckinsale, but that's because of Underworld for me. But surely, I don't believe Eva Green was born when I was in 5th grade. That's true. That's true, Chris. My brain's I'm like just sitting here grinning at everybody. I'm a literal. Oh, I love the original Parent Trap. Has anybody seen the new Frozen 2? I did go see the Frozen 2 and I did really love it. I thought that Elsa was really kick butt. I felt like she had a couple of Celine from Underworld moments where she just kind of drops down into that like classic kick butt vampire slayer body pose, and then just like starts like doing her stuff, which I quite loved those. Definitely had a lot of crying moments. So I quite enjoyed it. There's a whole scene in there with, I'm not giving away any details, but there is a scene with like basically in the middle of Frozen 2 is an 80s like movie video, like music video, an 80s style music video in the middle of Frozen 2 that is absolutely hilarious. Hilarious. You know what I miss? The Canadian series of Anne of Green Gables. Yes, the books too. But yes, we loved those. I played Anne of Green Gables in my senior year of high school. I played Anne in Anne of Green Gables. Is there a catchy song in the Frozen 2? Yes, there are. There's a couple sad ones too. No more Frozens. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But I admit to being, as much as I always say this, it's one of those guilty pleasures because like there's a lot of problems with Disney. But as much as I know that they have problems with Disney, I just love it. I love it all. One of those guilty things. Fruitcake. I have never eaten a fruitcake. I don't think I would eat a fruitcake. It doesn't look anything appealing to me whatsoever. I love Babylon 5. Pride and Prejudice with Zombies is amazing. I agree on that one. My Fair Lady. Oh my goodness. Yes, 100%. I'm scrolling up. I have to say I read the book Pollyanna before I ever saw the movie. So if you haven't read the book, that might be a treat. If you liked Pollyanna, somebody's up there said they loved Pollyanna, you might want to read the book. Adam says fruitcake is gross, almost as gross as milk, but less gross than powdered milk. Oh my goodness. Chris says that one of life's truly odd pleasures is a fruitcake. I do not like weird textures in bread and cakes and cookies. Like I do not like cookies with raisins in them. That is just disgusting. Like you're just eating a really good cookie and then you get that soft spot of a raisin. I pretty much feel like that's what a fruitcake would be. So I don't eat them. I've never eaten a fruitcake. Now watch, I'll probably try a fruitcake and I would love it. I'll say, why haven't I had a fruitcake in all these years? Okay, let's stop shuffling. Fellow travelers, which is what we are today. We're just a bunch of fellow travelers having a rambling conversation together. Support is all around us. So we just have to know to look for it and find it. So go ahead and answer the call. There's no reason for you not to step out into the world and do the things that you want to do, because you're not alone. You're doing it with people around you and with people that are going to be there to support you. And so just step out, find your support system, and then step out and answer the call, because abundance is yours to be had. So that's a good message for us. Again, this is a very supportive deck, but I love this because it starts with seeing who you have around you, right? It has you starting with getting your support base there. It has you being willing to see the people that are there to support you and reaching out for the people that are there to support you. And then from that space of support, answering the call and stepping into the woods, because that is the only path towards abundance, right? We can't just sit where we're at and do nothing and expect that everything's going to come to us. Life doesn't work that way. We do have to step out into the world to be able to move in that direction, but do so understanding and acknowledging the people that you have around you, with which for today is this group of people right here. So I quite like that. I love it that when we try to, pull new decks in live chat, we very often get the group cards. If there's a community or group card, we tend to get them showing up. Everybody's talking about Al, I think. I did enjoy Al from Sacred Seed. I mean, I think she's fine. I think the last time she had posted, she had moved. I think her and her partner had completely moved in different states. I know they had gotten a new job. Both of them had gotten new jobs. And I think life just probably went in another direction. As far as I am aware of what happened, that it was... it was just a big life shift and change for them, and it moved in another direction. I haven't seen anything to suggest otherwise. So, Molly says, "I was the first tarot tuber I watched." Yeah, I really did enjoy her channel quite a lot myself. There are no baked fruitcake, even denser, if that's possible. I'm going to take Chris's word for it that fruitcakes are good. I just don't know. Okay, I'm scrolling back up, but I do like zucchini bread a lot. You have to have the homemade fruitcake that weighs like 20 pounds, says Chris. Just rolling up here. No, Christina, I just saw that. No, Christina says, let's all send Kelly a fruitcake for you. Please do not. I do not. I definitely do not want 20 fruitcakes. Are you supposed to just not open the fruitcake and hand it off to the next person, like pass it around for years and years with nobody eating it? I don't drink like in the olden days, but I tell you, a piece of her cake, oh, it's like got alcohol in the cake. I thought when you cook cake, or you cook something with alcohol in it, isn't all the alcohol baked out? Unless it's one of, maybe it's Chris's no bake thing. I'm not sure. Nina loves. Now we're on the cake. Are you ready for this, Adam? We were talking about powdered milk, and now we're rolling into fruit cake and fruit bread and vegetable breads. Are you loving this, Mr. Chris? How can you not like raisins? I do like my friend Bart just texted me. How can I not like raisins? I do like raisins. I just don't like raisins in cookies. I don't like raisins in cookies, but I like raisins by themselves. And I don't understand what I did with the bottom of this deck. Putting the last forever stamps. Oh. Alcohol remains. Oh, in the no bakes. Yeah. That's why people eat fruitcake, the alcohol, said Christina. Oh, I see. Jamie says it's not baked with alcohol. The alcohol is poured onto the cake after it's baked. Oh my goodness. She adds the rum after the cake is made and it's storage till Christmas. I just can't even imagine, to be honest. I mean, maybe the problem is, oh, I don't know why anybody would eat gravy on green beans. I don't even understand that statement. I think that's the problem, Chris. There's a lot of unidentified things in a fruitcake. And I feel with Molly and Adam that just have a glass of rum with some orange juice or pineapple juice. And there you go. You don't even have to eat the fruitcake. You just have rum and pineapple juice or rum and orange juice. And then you're ready. I know, Sandra. We definitely get on some weird bye, Al. She's gonna take her dogs out. I just feel like this is the perfect, or just rum. Yeah, I don't drink anything, just alcohol. So it would be juice for me. Looks like this group of folk will never sit down to a dinner. Bourbon cookies I've never heard of either. Miss Veronica hates when people mess up good bread by putting weird shit in it. That's true. Let's not get started on eggnog. I cannot stand eggnog. Eggnog's just so nasty. No. I am definitely going to go back and put a note on this, a big note on this saying, I don't want to hear it. Don't watch this if you don't want a very strange ramble of a thing, ranging from powdered milk to fruitcakes and everything in between. I really don't like alcohol either. I like it in some things, but if I get a 6-pack of something, it won't be beer. It will sit in my fridge for a year. Isn't Christmas pudding the British equivalent of fruitcake? I am not a British person, so I have absolutely no idea. But my understanding is that Christmas pudding is not the same thing as fruitcake. But I am not British, so I am not the authority on that whatsoever. Adam says when someone puts raisins, yes, I'm 100% with Adam on the no raisin. I love raisins, and I like Raisin Bran once you keep the cereal crunchy, but I do not like raisins in anything. Not cinnamon raisin bread. That's disgusting. You're ruining perfectly good cinnamon bread. And not in cookies. No. Is Christmas pudding and bread pudding the same thing? I don't know. I don't know, Whale Song. I am smack from Midwestern United States, and I have had bread pudding. I do not like bread pudding because it's soggy. Let's just go back to the whole raisins and things. Soggy bread is disgusting. So I don't know. I do not have a clue if Christmas pudding and bread pudding is the same thing. We need an English person here. Is anybody awake? Simon's probably sleeping. I don't know if anybody is awake from the UK. I know Miss Kaleidoscope already went to sleep, so I'm not sure if we have an authority. Green beans and gravy equals green. Oh, I like green bean casserole a lot, but I don't use gravy or cream of mushroom soup. I use cream of onion soup in my green bean casserole, but I do actually really love green bean casserole. Nia says they are not the same, and she is a chef, so I will take her advice on that. Maybe Bart's going to tell us. Christmas pudding is closer to fruitcake than to bread pudding, says Mr. Bart. He is not British, but he's Polish, so he would probably, he's closer to Britain than I am, so he would probably know. High Priestess says Christmas pudding is similar mix of fruits, but it is steamed and then not baked like a cake. So sounds close, I guess. I know Miss Molly. Miss Molly says if I want to ruin my appetite and gross myself out, I'll come to Saturday chats and watch people talk about weird food. I know. I know. Miss Cynthia is trying very hard to get us off of the subject of weird fruit like green jello near the fruitcake, which is apparently gross to Mr. Chris. Cynthia, what is my favorite mass market deck? Whew, that is a difficult question. This is certainly one of my favorite mass market decks, which is the Crow Tarot. So that's definitely high up there. The Jeopardy Tarot, which is coming back. It's not in print right now, but it is coming back in print. Was that mass market? Yeah, that's US Games. I really love this deck. That's mass market. So there's two. Herb Crafter's Tarot. I really like what they did with this deck a lot. I really like the thoughtfulness that went into picking the herbs for the minors and for the suits. I feel like it wasn't just kind of slap things on. It was a lot of intention went into this. I absolutely love that as a mass market deck. So those are three favorites. Mass markets. I love the Shadowscape Tarot. I love Tarot of the Hidden Realms. Those are mass market decks. I love the Druidcraft. That is a mass market deck. Those I think are the decks in my favorites box. If we're talking about tarot decks, I don't know if we're talking about tarot decks. I guess I'm going with the tarot decks. So if you mean something else, let me know. But those I think are all my mass market favorite decks. Of course, like the Fountain Tarot has gone mass market. It wasn't originally mass market, but it's gone mass market. The Llewellyn Tarot, thank you, Terry. I was looking right at it. Also, the Wild Unknown has gone mass market. So that, I don't know if I would count Margaret Peterson as mass market. I mean, I guess it is. I don't know if that's something you can buy just on Amazon or not. Yeah, John Bauer. Yeah, all of these decks are my favorite decks. John Bauer is a mass market deck. I feel like that's all my favorites that have that are mass markets. Other people know mine just as well and are pointing them out. So yeah, those are the ones. I think what I've just named off are the mass market. Oh, and of course, the Ancient Italian Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. Yes, yes, and yes. I think that's all on my favorite shelves that are what I would consider mass market. I have a deck coming that is one of my favorite decks. It's not out yet. It's by Anna Torin, who did the artwork for she has an Oracle deck that I'm completely blanking on. I think I have a copy up here. Oracle of Echoes. She did Oracle of Echoes. She has a black and white tarot deck that I absolutely love, and that's coming out by US Games. That I call the Abyss Tarot, and I have a kind of a test copy of it, and I absolutely love it. So that's definitely a favorite, and that will be a mass market. So I don't know if that answers your question. I can't find the original question, so I'm not sure if it was just about tarot, but those are my mass market tarots that are my favorites, which was, I believe, the question. Let's see. I was so disappointed with the Tarot of the Lost Kodos, no guidance. Yeah, I did really like that. I think it could have definitely used. I think it could have definitely used a more tarot-based guidebook on that. Do I have the Noble? Yes. Right here. I'm not a huge, I mean, this is gonna, shock and awe some people. I'm not a huge fan of woodcut. I love the miners, like the Noble miners are awesome. What I don't like about the Noble, again, I'm not a huge fan of these kind of woodcut straight line things. What I enjoy, but also makes it harder for me to use seriously, is I love the nipples that are on the outside of the clothes and that are wandering, which I guess in reality that happens. I also am not overly fond of the skin that looks like clothing. It's very creepy to me how their skin actually looks like it's clothing that they have put on, which is very awkward. Like this, it looks like she has skin clothing on, and then she has this white face. So I am very much amused by a lot of these older style decks, but this is, I think, an important deck because obviously it was one that really solidified this, along with the Dodal, definitely solidified Marseille style decks. So I think that it is an important deck, but it's not one that I typically use myself. And I know that I will have traditionalists throwing darts at my head for that. Bart. So yeah, so it's important for my historical collection, but it's not one that I actually use. It's just part of my history of tarot, which is important to me. What deck was the most disappointing to me? I guess I don't think of decks as being disappointing in that they're going to be great for somebody else, right? It just wasn't particular for myself, and if I get that disappointed, it means that I didn't usually follow my rule of seeing all the cards. So my probably most disappointing purchase was a combo of Pythia, or is it Pythia Tarot, and I don't know, they were all of a botanical deck, and that was, I didn't say it was too nipply. I just said that the nipples kind of wander around. That's what I said, Miss Anaconda. They just kind of wander about. So I was disappointed with that purchase. They never really quite worked for me, and it was pretty pricey. I think the two of them together was like $90. So I was disappointed in it, but it wasn't because there was anything wrong with the deck, Ophidia Rosa Tarot. It was just, for me, it just kind of fell flat, and it was a pricey combination purchase. So, but I did get some beautiful readings out of it. I didn't end up keeping it, but I did get some beautiful readings out of it. And I think it's a beautiful deck. It just didn't quite work for me. And so I think that's the case with most. Now, there are some decks that are just bad decks, in my opinion, that just maybe were created by people who don't read tarot. And so the art is usually it's pre-existing artwork. It's being kind of pushed into the system and it doesn't quite work, or somebody that doesn't really know tarot, and you can just kind of tell that it's just like a mishmash. So I'm not saying there aren't bad decks out there, because there are, but for the most part, it's just something that either doesn't work for you or it does, and that's kind of on me to make sure I make good decisions and really research something before I buy it. I love Dreams of Gaia. I definitely want the pocket edition. English is a free-for-all language, and I dive right into the free-for-all. What would be the best 2 decks for your tarot lessons? What do you teach with? Hopes that makes sense. I do recommend that people have a, I say this all the time, again, it irritates people, but I do recommend a PIP style deck, so a deck that is PIP based, and a deck that is scenic based. Generally, I would recommend something that's close to the Rider-Waite-Smith system, or at least, you know, can see the images close. If you're willing to do Rider-Waite-Smith, then like a Centennial. So I think a really that's my favorite of the Rider-Waite-Smith is a Centennial. So these two would be my perfect ones, which would be the Centennial, Rider-Waite-Smith, and the Ancient Italian Tarot. Like, that's a great combo. But any, you know, all you need is one tarot deck, whatever that may be. If it's something that strays way off of the beaten path of a normal tarot, it's just not going to relate as much. The images that you're seeing in class or in the paperwork isn't going to relate as much to the deck that you have in your hand. But most, you know, there's a lot of decks out there that are pretty closely based on Rider-Waite-Smith. So it's Druidcraft is a great one. If you want more of a pagan themed, but it still keeps a lot of the core understandings of Rider-Waite-Smith. That's a good one as well. Bye, Cynthia. Whoever's heading out, goodbye, goodbye. We are overdue, aren't we? It's like 6:22. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Marseille, Chris. Just PIP. So not all PIP decks are Marseille, and not all Marseille decks. All Marseille decks are PIPs, but not all PIP decks are Marseille. So it doesn't have to be a Marseille, which is a very specific structure to the PIPs, but it just does. I would recommend that everybody have a PIP deck, which is a non-scenic minor deck. I think I have I'll have to see. I think I have a video about like good decks for that. While finding me a boy to be like, you need to look deep inside yourself and find out why I keep ending up loose. I don't know what Adam is talking about here. I think he's talking to somebody else. I purchased the Dragon Tarot by Nigel Suckling and agree with your walkthrough comments. I love the dragons and the pips backgrounds. No, this is not a Tarot-thon chat, for sure. For sure. I can't believe I even went over, because my brain's been so strange. My brain is definitely so I'm surprised that I even went past it, I guess, is my point. I'm so ready for your Lenormand talk. Oh, thank you, Moon Priestess Lucy. I'm so glad. I am very thrilled to have one myself, because I need it for my space. Does the mini edition of the Dreams of Gaia come with the book? That I have no clue. I would assume so. I was thinking of getting the mini and letting go of the full size, but it's a book. Yeah, I would definitely. To me, the mini looks fantastic. I just love the whole look of it. I don't know about the book. Maybe somebody else has gotten it and knows whether. It sounds like it has a small book in the pocket, so it's not the full book. It's the powdered milk and fruitcake effect. It sounds like, Miss Molly, that it's not the full size guidebook. So I mean, I would be definitely keeping the other edition, because I do think that that's a deck you really do want the full guidebook on, in my opinion. Because um why pips? I think it's good, especially for people who are beginning tarot. You don't need the images, right? So the class isn't really teaching just Rider-Waite-Smith. It's more teaching just basic reading, using the numbers and using the suits, touching into the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings as well, but it's not like a Rider-Waite-Smith class. And you don't necessarily need the images to be able to read that. And I think that if somebody kind of leans into that a little bit early on in their reading, I do think it helps to broaden their base. It's not required, but it's just recommended. I feel like everybody, truthfully, that reads tarot should have one pip deck. That's just my personal opinion, because I love pip decks. But the truth is that most people do enjoy scenic minors, including myself, and most clients, obviously, they like to see the scenic minors as well. So I would disagree on that, Toadstool, respectfully. Like, I actually think pip decks are easier. In some ways, I think pip decks are better for a beginner, because the Rider-Waite-Smith images kind of lock you into just interpreting that actual scene. So if you are trying to really strictly stay with Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, then yes, for sure. But I think that tarot minors can be even more simple than that. If you just understand 10 numbers and the 4 suits, you can very quickly and comfortably get basic meanings of cards. And so I actually think that it's great. I think that pips are actually really good for beginners. But again, that's all personal preference things. Why don't I go for the pocket editions? I guess I'm not on the go. I'm not an on the go person either, but I do like larger spreads in small spaces. So I do like small decks. Beginners always get the advice to not use pip decks, and that's too bad. Yeah, I agree. And I guess I can understand why that would be. Like, I think the understanding would be that if you have a scene there that's going to give you something to intuitively go off of, you have that there. No, it goes together all the way through. It's just something that we talk about in conjunction. So there's always both that are there. But I think that I just think it's important. I think it's a good thing if you can get somebody early on and get comfortable with pips. I actually think it's a good addition to your learning. So my favorite mass market pip deck. It's again, I don't want to I really don't. I don't want to make you feel like I'm arguing with you, Tolstoy, because I definitely think that that's personal preference. I would say, and you do say it gives you more visual cues. So it definitely does, but it gives you visual cues just to the way that Arthur E. Waite describes the cards, right? So if you're not a Rider-Waite-Smith reader, you're kind of really stuck with the way that the image is. And so my argument would be that a pip deck actually frees you for being able to read differently than maybe the Rider-Waite-Smith. So if you are a strict Rider-Waite-Smith reader, then for sure. But if you're not, if you are wanting to look at things more numerologically, or something of that nature, or a particular way that they define a card isn't the way that you do it, the pips really open that up quite a lot. And so it kind of opens the doorways a lot. But I think that that's just personal preference, right? I definitely think if your system is Rider-Waite-Smith, then you would want Rider-Waite-Smith, right? That makes complete sense. But I think as beginners, the more we're exposed to, the better, because then we can see what really works for us. So, I'm still confused about Nikki Sparkles. She is a moderator, so she gets to kick people out to our trolls. And I don't like the troll term either because I love trolls. Somebody asked me the question of, I had the full site, okay. Sorry, somebody asked, oh, favorite mass market pip deck. You know, that's a lot. Again, love the Ancient Italian Tarot. That's probably would be my favorite. The other ones are my favorite. I don't think are mass market. I definitely agree with the Marshmallow Tarot, but it's not mass market. And the other one would definitely be the Arcana playing cards, but that's not mass market. So of pip decks that are mass market, it's definitely the Ancient Italian Tarot because the pips are so gorgeous. And the people are so gorgeous. It's just beautiful. Find freedom in this canvas. Yeah. And some people don't like that. Like, I can totally understand that not everybody really, wants to stay. And I don't think that everybody who works with a pip deck is going to say, oh my gosh, I love pip decks and I'm going to stay there. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't just read with pip decks because I find most clients do like to see the images and things like that. So I love them both, but I do think that it's a great way to step away from the images and kind of get a good solid at least foundation for the meanings really easily without being stuck in the images. So that's just why I recommend it. Obviously you're going to have other people that teach your class that are just going to recommend the Rider-Waite-Smith, or I know there are people who teach classes that only recommend a pip deck. So it just really matters. It just is going to depend on the class and the person who's teaching it. I'm always going to push for exposure to pip decks. I know, Zach. I said, I was so already brain dead when I started. So I'm really surprised that I lasted past the 2 hours, to be honest. I did not come to tarot via books or systems, but in 2020, I'm going to expand and embrace just to see the difference from then to now. That makes sense. The Soprafino in any iteration is seriously one of the best. I agree. Although this one, to be fair, just to be clear, the Ancient Italian Tarot is not just a remake of the Soprafino. So the Ancient Italian Tarot is a blend of the Soprafino majors and the Avando minors. But I actually think the Avando minors are even more gorgeous than the Soprafino minors. So this to me is like that perfect deck of the most beautiful minors and the most beautiful majors and quartz pulled together. So that's why I love it. Let's see. Do I have the seventh sphere? Seventh sphere is one of my, oh no, I'm thinking the sevenfold mysteries. I love this deck so much. Yes. Do I have the seventh sphere? I feel like I do. Isn't that the, yes, I do love that. And this is a beautiful modern Marseille toadstool. I was going to say toadstool. I don't think that's correct. I just lost it. I just lost the question. Toadstool Stera. Yes, I got it right. I do have the seventh sphere, and I love this. I think it's it's a pricier one, right? But it's a beautiful modern Marseille, and it's plastic and it riffle shuffles gorgeous. I wish the colors were a little bit more intense. I was kind of disappointed. The images before I bought it, I think it had a filter on it. It was a little bit bolder, and I wish there was a little bit more boldness to it, but I think it is an absolutely stunning rendition of a Marseille, and it actually has Marseille oriented pips. So this is a gorgeous modern depiction of a Marseille deck. And I love it. And I love the Lenormand deck as well. Yeah, and I don't mind that they're muted, I guess, but I don't know. It wasn't quite, and now I love it, but I was disappointed when I first got it because it was just a little bit softer than I expected it to be. Good night, Hanaconda. I am going to end this pretty soon, too, because I'm ready to eat some taco salad, as Chris always says. But it is gorgeous, and if you're a riffle shuffler, it's just, it's plastic, and it's a dream to shuffle. It's literally a dream to riffle shuffle. So I do love this deck very, very much. It's in my favorites. It's not a mass market, but oh, I'm sorry, Nina. This is called the Seventh Sphere Tarot. It is by Labyrinthos. It's not mass market. You have to get it from their website, and they have a Lenormand deck as well. So this is another favorite, but that's not a pit deck. Did you not see it, Miss Nina? Maybe you're behind. You might be behind because I just showed it. So I'm guessing you're behind the live chat a little bit. Yeah, the Lenormand's awesome, and I love the Lenormand. Gilded Tarot Royale, Barbermere Marchetti, or Grand Deluxe. You like some of this too. Gilded Tarot. Yeah, I didn't know that was by Barbara Moore. Let me look. Gilded Tarot. I believe the Gilded Royale, that is still a Ciro Marchetti deck, isn't it? I don't think that has anything to do with Barbara Moore. So I'm a little bit confused because I'm not sure what the Barbara Moore is there. I have I can't remember what it's called. Something about dreams. I have one of Ciro Marchetti's tarot decks that I quite love. But I can't remember what it's called. My brain is definitely blanking on it. The Grand Deluxe, I think, is the new one. I haven't looked a lot at the new one. The only issue that I have with Ciro Marchetti, I love his Kipper deck. I love the tarot deck that I do have of his. I am not a fan of jesters. It's not that I'm afraid of clowns or anything. I cannot get that to copy. I think the Grand Deluxe is the newest one. I think I just saw pop up on somebody's Instagram, but I haven't looked at it closely. I'm just not a huge fan of jesters, and there's often a lot of jesters in his decks, but I do love the one that I do have. I know, I hear you, Nina, would spell check the C Marchers instead of Marchetti. Oh, it looks like Ciro Marchetti and Barbara Moore collaborated on a few decks. Oh, I didn't realize that. Molly would rather eat fruitcake than cake. But I mean, I will say in all fairness, I don't think jesters and clowns are the same thing. But I'm not a huge fan of jesters, and a lot of times his fool cards are jesters. Again, you know, some people love jesters. I'm not a huge jester. I do love Oracle of Visions a lot, Nina. I agree. That's a fantastic Oracle deck. Toadstool, do you know if there exists a Braille deck? I do not. I had one person, dominoes would be fantastic. Even dice divination, like if you do now obviously I know, you know, she might be able to get the audio book or have somebody read it or something, but the elemental divination by Stephen Ball, and this is with dice, because I'm guessing they would be able to feel the dice tips and or you know, get like really bold ones that it's going to be a little bit easier to see. So that would be something as well. I did have somebody contact me that was blind, and they were having Braille be put in, like you can get something that, oh, look at it. So look at this right here, it's out of stock. Yeah, it's out of stock right now, but there was Tarot Garden was selling it where they put the Braille onto the thing. And that's what the one person that had contacted me about that with in terms of Braille is that whether or not you can get like a punch or something so that you can emboss, I guess would be the word, the Braille onto the cards. And that's what she was doing. Somebody was embossing it. Definitely there are playing cards. Thank you, Nikki, for putting that up. I was going to go there next. I know I've seen Braille playing cards before. And you know, that's the whole minors, not the whole, but that's, you know, that's you can read them as the minors in tarot, although I read playing cards differently. But so those are some things. I don't know if they could maybe find a punch or embossing thing that would allow somebody who is sighted to add the basic names in on Braille on a deck for them. I think that would be absolutely amazing. But I don't, but that was what that person had told me that they were doing. So that's all I'm aware of in terms of Braille cards. But I think something like dominoes, something like dice, because I think you might even be able to get dice. I feel like you might be able to get dice to have raised bumps instead of indented bumps as well. So that might also be, you know, even make it easier as maybe the site gets more problematic. And if they're not going blind, let me go back and read this a little bit closer here. I have a friend with diminishing vision. So if they can still see decent, you know, if they still have some sight, they could go with playing cards with the really the big fonts, you know, like I like them for playing games because I don't have the greatest of vision and I don't have to even look closely at them. So like the big playing card divination is something that could be really fantastic in terms of you can get those you know, big numbered playing cards, or as we saw there, you can get the Braille version of the playing cards. So that might be an option for a different divination system than tarot. And then again, something like dice divination or with the dominoes would be something that would be great. So hopefully, I wish there were more that yeah, you could do. They even have like embossers, right? That like they're little balls that you can get in. Oh, that's a good idea. Chris had said drops of like liquid glass or something like that that would be bubbled up, that you could take like a basic Rider-Waite-Smith deck or something and put, you know, and write it out. I mean, it's going to be time consuming, right? No matter what, it's going to take some time to do that to the deck. But in the end, then they would have, you know, a deck that was in Braille, which would be really beautiful to have if somebody wanted to continue to be able to read tarot and was losing their vision. This I'll put the link up here, although this one is out of print. But that, I wonder if you could contact this person to see if they were coming back into print, or whether or not they know it's somebody else maybe who does it. So that's possible. I saw etched wooden majors from right. I don't think they're raised enough to feel cards. I have had somebody ask me even about my journey tokens, whether or not I thought that somebody could read them blind. And I think as they are, I would say no, but you could do deeper passes with the laser to maybe get them deeper. So then they could do something maybe even like runes, like, and just request that whoever cuts or makes the rune set, that they could you know, make the grooves really deep and or make a raised set of runes, because that to me would be fairly easy. You know, you're not talking about 78 cards, you're looking at 25 or 24, right? And so not up to 30 if you're going to do like the Anglo-Saxon one, but that's not quite so many to make, and it would be pretty easy to make a set of runes, and I think it would be pretty easy to feel runes. It's not really complex in terms of the feel and the shape of it, so that would be another divination system that they could get into, that would be pretty I feel fairly simple to make a set of runes with raised lines on it. So that's certainly some options. But I hope that they, find some things that they enjoy, and that they can continue to work with, and that they find what they're looking for. I don't think so. I don't think I have taken it down. I had a bunch of things go private, and I haven't worked through everything, re-putting it out, but that, I don't think I can search it while I'm on here, but let me see if I can find the link for it for you. Show all. I don't even see. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here, let me undo the public. There we go. Don't know why that would have been public or private. Again, I had made everything on my channel private once, not realizing what a pain it was going to be to make it undo it. And so I still have some things that are not where they're supposed to be. Let me find the link. Okay, so I'm copying the link and I'll put it here. Okay. There you go. Etched runes in metal could work. I have some etched forged metal rune pendants, and the lines run pretty deep, and it can be easily felt. I don't know if I'll ever read with that. I don't want to talk about here. Okay, I'm not sure. I Ching certainly could, for sure. Yeah, I do like the idea of the rune options. I think that there should be quite a few. I think there could be quite a few options for runes that would be relatively easy to make. and or get a hold of, that yeah, you could make that's the video that I just put a link to, is with that clay that you get in a craft store. And so you could easily roll that thin and make the rune, and kind of have it raised on the top of the rune. I think that would and I really do think, like, you could contact, if you see some custom runes, as Molly says, there's so many custom rune things on Etsy. You could contact the person and say, could you engrave it deeper? Can you do it several passes that are going to, I don't, or maybe I didn't save it. Let me look. Oh, I didn't save it. Sorry there. Here we go. Try that, might work now. Same thing with OMs, although I feel like runes would be the most obvious. If you're really thinking about, I'm just thinking about feeling things. If you are really, the runes are all each so individually different, that whereas OMs, you'd have to pay attention to what is upright or not, because there are two sections or suits in OMs that if you reverse them, they are the exact same thing, just reversed. So you would you'd have to definitely pay it to have something that notes what is top and what is bottom. Where I feel like, in terms of feeling, at least to start with, runes are each so individually obvious from each other that it would be a little bit easier than OMs, in my opinion. Again, that's just my opinion. Geomancy, I think, would be a little bit hard, just because you do need to write out a shield. So if the site continues to be a problem, it would be harder. It would be harder to work with a shield chart when you can't see. So yeah, so those are some suggestions. I think it's a great topic, so I really appreciate you asking it, Toadstool Tarot, because I think that it is you don't think about that. Such when we talk about all of these decks and things that we are loving and everything like that, that's really very visual, right? It is very much a visual thing. And so thinking about when that site isn't there, and how can you still have access to those same things, I think is really important. Those little tarot dice you reviewed, they're too small to read by touch, right? Those, Chris actually had given me those. Those, I think, would be, I feel like they would be hard to tell what you were feeling. I mean, maybe obviously your senses get stronger, your touch senses get stronger when the site isn't there. But I personally feel like, and maybe I know Chris has them, so he might be able to input as well. But I feel like that would be really hard to tell what it is you were looking at. And the other thing is that you can never get all of the combinations with those dice, because obviously there are 4 of the cards, so to speak, on one dice, so you could never get those 2 cards to come up in one place in one reading. So I don't think they would be the best option for that, in my opinion. Shells or charms. Charms would be, as long as you obviously had very distinct charms. I think charm casting would be amazing. And that's where, just in case you don't use it, but that's where you have little objects, right? Different charms and or objects. And so, I would probably par my system down if to make sure that I could really tell, like, okay, this is the sun. But most of them, I mean, like, because you would get to know them. I would know that these are handcuffs. I would know that this is a book. It's very tactile. So I think something like this would be good. I probably wouldn't start out with as many and kind of get to know a set of the charms really well, then add in extra charms perhaps. But yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, Nina. That charm set, and you can get Lenormand sets too. Like mine is a base of Lenormand. I went and found my Lenormand base, and then I've added other things onto it just because I like to have the significators in charm casting. But yeah, charms I think could be really good. And I know they do have sets kind of based around tarot. I don't know if it's all 78. My guess is it's the majors and then maybe something with dice to determine the number of the minor. I mean, there's ways you could work it for sure. Chris says tarot dice would be hard because, I mean, yeah, that's what I feel too. Yeah, I agree with Chris on that. I think that would be difficult. Yeah, I think the ones that I made, that video link that I put up, Chris, I think that one, those are no bake. I don't believe those were baked ones. I can't remember, but I've used both bake and no bake, and the no bake ones are very hard. They are quite hard and sturdy. Like I don't think you have any issue casting them whatsoever. Alex Moserick's shop on Etsy has great charms and carved Lenormand dice that would work for Braille. Yeah, part of my problem with things like Lenormand or tarot dice is just that, like, let's say you have the rider and you have the rider and the clover and whatever else on one dice. You can never get a reading in which the rider and the clover come up. So I'm not sure that putting either runes, I have a set of runes on dice either, same problem. You can never get those things to come to those two things to come up. So I'm not a big fan of Lenormand tarot. I like the concept, or runes or OM dice sets, because you don't get that, you'll never get certain combinations to come up, which really reduces the potential combinations of the system. But yeah, you could definitely go by, I was just thinking that too, Zach, that you could just go by the numbers with Lenormand, which would be awesome. No, I was the same way, Nina. There's no reason to feel duh about it, because I bought a set of rune dice. I thought, oh, that's really cool. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. I think my friend Bart was like, that's not going to work. And it's the case. Like, it's not going to work. You could have several sets of dice, but I think there's probably other ways to accomplish it. Because then, of course, you have several different dice. Then you could get 3 rider cards, which might be fine. But I would say get a set of Lenormand-based charms versus probably Lenormand dice. That's just my input. I saw somebody say this is probably going to be off topic, and I didn't want to ignore what they said, but here we go. Maria, I couldn't be more random, but I want to say how grateful I'm for these chats. It feels like being around the fire. This one for sure. Good night, Maria. I'm so glad I'm going to. I need to go make some dinner here. But I definitely agree. Tonight has definitely felt like just hanging out with friends. I have greatly enjoyed it. Definitely needed it. I missed y'all last week, and have enjoyed spending some random chit chat time with all of you. Yeah, I haven't. It's not too hard, Nina. I don't know where you're at. But if you're if you're in the US where there are Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, it's really not too hard to get together a Lenormand set of charms. I think I have a video on my I need to do a fresh update of my charms, but I think I have a video up on the charms that I use to represent the different Lenormand ones. The one that took me the longest was a coffin, which somebody sent me, which was awesome. That one took me a while. I think it was just a coffin. I recently, now that it's Christmas, like you can pick up the little gift ones, which I absolutely love. I added that in. I think it took me a little while to find a bear, surprisingly. But anyways, it's really not too hard to build your own set of Lenormand charms at all. And it's really a fantastic way to charm cast because it gives you significators, right? So you can, you know, let's say you just have your core Lenormand charms and you shake them and toss those all out. You can just go find, well, there's the work symbol. What are the charms that are laying next to that one? Well, okay, let's go to the heart symbol. What are the figures laying next to it? And so the Lenormand set, the Lenormand core of a charm casting set is, I think, makes reading the casting really fantastic, a lot of fun, and a lot easier, a lot less random because you have somewhere to hone in on depending on what question that you have. So I quite recommend, if you're interested in charm casting, to sort of make a list of Lenormand card of the what are the basic 36 symbols, and finding, you know, go about your, you know, look on Etsy, look on Amazon, look in again, craft stores have charms, and be creative with what you use. So for example, I have my garden is just, you know, I had this little bead that was sitting around in a little junk, you know, thing forever, and it's just a green bead with some spirally things on it, and that's my garden card, right? You don't have to be too specific. To be able to do it. Or like, I don't have a scythe, but you can find little axes, or like a little sword, and that works really well. So, you know, be open to how you might interpret those. I'm trying to find my little coffin. Here it is. This made me so happy, so happy. Thank you very much to the person who sent that to me. But that's actually like a little coffin with a little person in it, which I love. But yeah, I mean, again, don't, you know, don't have to be super exact. Like, this is my lilies, and that is a, you know, it's not a flower lily. I guess it's a fleur-de-lis, but, you know, it's not a flower lily, but it's a lily, and it works very well. So you can, you know, you can be, here's a little dog. It's not too difficult to find them, and it's fun. It's really fun, and I know it's great. Like, oh, here's my mountain. My mountain is just a stone. It's just a little stone. And so, you know, you don't have to be super bound. My ring is an old ring that I had sitting around. My key is a little key to a little, you know, it was an old, I don't even know what it went to, but originally, but it's an actual key that went to like a little diary or something. So it's fun. I think it's great and easy, obviously, just to buy a set. And if you can find one of those and you enjoy it, then go for it, you know. But it is fun to collect your set yourself as well. It's a lot of fun to do. So yeah, bones having different weights and shapes, those are easily. Cookie. What are we talking about? If I ever said it, have you seen a set of Lenormand cookie cutters? Yes, I would definitely, like, let's do a reading and then we eat the reading. Look, we're setting our intentions. We set out our intent. This is what's going to happen. Oh no, I don't want that to happen. And we put it in, and we eat it. We eat it instead. Like, no, oh no, I don't like that one in front of this one. I'm going to eat it. That's pretty funny. And I love Molly's. Then you can use a frame. Well, that's just how the cookie crumble. So, my gosh. Yes, if anybody finds a Lenormand cookie cutter set, please just let me know. So anyways, I think at least maybe Toadstool Terror, you got some ideas about how you could potentially find some things for your friend. I hope that you'll find something that or he or she enjoys, so that they can continue to learn and experience the joy of divination despite the eyesight. So, all right, I'm gonna go. We are definitely now 3 hours today, which it's in all fairness, we did miss last week, so I'm not going to belabor the point too much, but I am going to go make some chicken and noodles, I believe. And so I hope that you guys all have a wonderful rest of, oh my goodness, yes, I'm that person whose hair is driving them crazy. Goodbye. No, I can't. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Yes, I had a lovely time. I'm gonna go put a warning on this for anybody wanting to try to watch this back later. And I will see you guys all later. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Don't let the crazies of the holidays get you down too much, and keep on plugging along. So goodbye, because I can't seem to figure out how to speak to end this. So have a wonderful, wonderful night.